You're listening to It Came From the Radio, and today is a major press day for Monkey Wrench Film's theatrical release of Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day, which is a follow-up to the iconic indie film The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. Walter, welcome.
I am honored. Thank you for having me today.
So, well, you're welcome. You're welcome first. I have a lot of respect for you, and you're very inspiring. So I'm going to go right into the questions. I want to hear from you. So now, when I first started watching, I wasn't really sure if both films were real, and I watched the intro maybe 5 times because I wasn't sure if it was real or really believable satire. It's hard to believe. So, would you just please tell the audience a little bit about Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day? Just a little bit.
Well, essentially, in 1985, I had a glamorous girlfriend who one night called me up and said she wanted to be free to be with another person she'd secretly been seeing. Essentially, that broke my heart. And so we were finished. We broke up that night. But I had this heartbreak, and it was very intense. And a couple of weeks into the heartbreak, I started hearing music play, like I was channeling a radio station that was in my gut, and I heard all these songs. And to me, these songs were incredibly beautiful. And they had lyrics and harmonics and melodies and hooks and stuff like that. And I started writing them down in a notebook and I started singing them in tape recorders, and I was completely transfixed by them. Before the phenomena ended, I had 138 songs come out. And so I was completely in love with them and transfixed by them and thought, even though I'm not a singer, even though I'm not a vocalist and have no singing ability, I'm going to stand on the stage someday and I'm going to produce these songs and sing them for the public. That became my vow. So 20 years after that, the King of Kong movie was made. I think you've seen that, haven't you? The King of Kong movie was made.
No.
In the King of Kong movie, it's about video game players, but in the King of Kong
Mhm.
movie, I talk about my desire to retire from video games and actually pursue my music and actually produce my music. And the producers were intrigued by that and actually filmed me singing of some of my songs in The King of Kong. And
Yes.
after The King of Kong was over, they confided to me that of all the people in the movie, they had thought my story was the most interesting one. However, it was 20 years then after that, too, that I was at a video game event in Pomona, California. And suddenly, out of the crowd, a couple of people came out, and the main guy was named David Reichelt, who had invented a very popular, very successful mobile game called Color Switch. And he says to me, I recognize you from the King of Kong. Whatever happened to your music? And I said, I still had this as my heart's desire to do, and I've been trying to do it, but there's just been so many obstacles that have divided my attention. And he said, we have the money to help you. We want to produce your album, pay all expenses as a gift. This is the gift with no strings attached to you. So suddenly I found myself in a music studio recording my music after all these years, after nearly 40 years, and suddenly the dream was coming through. True. Meanwhile, the producers of The King of Kong from 20 years earlier learned that Walter was finally producing his music, and they thought, wow, what a great story. The story of a man who, at the end of his years, never gave up his dream, never gave up his hopes or his vision, and finally, at the end of his years, was proving that it's never too late.
Right. Now, quick question. This isn't on my list, but some people think that when songs come through you, it's not from your head, it's from somewhere else. Well, where do
Absolutely.
you think these songs came from?
Well, the Bee Gees say we have these ideas for a song and we go out and we work it out. And I remember the Bee Gees say we had this idea for a song, we figured it all out, and it was then we announced it was done. Now all we have to do is write the lyrics. Music can come in independent of the lyrics, and music for me, music will come out of different places in my body, but it's almost like I was pulling them out of the air. Just like the Beatles used to talk about that. Bob Dylan would talk about that. Pull them out of the air, almost like they were channeling them from some cosmic force. And that's
Right.
truly the only way I can describe it. It's like the songs were coming sometimes almost completely formed just out of the ether, and I was picking them up like it was a radio antenna. And
Right.
so that's my direct experience. Well, what's interesting though is that In my hometown of 10,000 people, over 4,000 of them practice transcendental meditation. So I'm one of those
Uh,
people who sit down and I do TM 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and it actually changes the way the brain works. And I think it's
mhm.
because of the way my brain has been, remove the stress has been pulled out of my brain from doing TM, that I was able to actually adapt the music I was hearing and turn it into solid, good songs. It's almost like when an orchestra is warming up, it's kind of discordant. Then when the conductor starts, then he turns the discordant sounds into beautiful music. It's almost
Right.
like my brain was like my stress-free brain was like the conductor that took
Mm,
the sound and actually was able to turn it into music. So I'm very thankful
right.
that I meditate regularly. And
Yeah, I'm thankful too. It's very interesting. And I wonder where these songs are coming from. Who, what, where?
it'll always be a mystery.
Maybe one day we'll find out. So now we're gonna go back, way back to when you were 6. Your dad had wanted dressed you and your sister up and had you sing Al Jolson songs, and then a quote, he saw how bad you were and then gave up and had another beer. So after your dad seemed so disappointed by your singing, I wonder if you completely gave up the idea of singing for good, or did a part of you believe that one day you would impress your dad? And by the way, wherever your dad is, I'm sure he's super impressed by you. I am.
Well, that's very kind of you. And
True.
my father's not with us anymore. But but all these years, despite my failure as a Jolson performer, all these years, I never thought of being a singer, never projected being a singer, never expected to be a singer. The whole the whole inspiration for being a singer came completely from this phenomenon of music coming up out of this cosmic radio station that was inside my soul in a sense. So
Wow.
it was completely born on the wings of that and had no other origin other than that. But it was a good
Wow.
question. Good question.
So, yeah, well, I bet he's proud of you. I mean, it's never fun to feel like your parents are disappointed or worried about you. So it must feel like a little bit triumphant now that you've finally done a bunch of things that you probably never saw yourself doing as a kid, right? You probably feel triumph a little bit or a lot.
Yeah. Who would have bet that I would have been involved in video games? When Pong came out in 1972, I tried it once. I remember thinking it was difficult and I was uncoordinated and I didn't enjoy it. But 10 years later, I'm the king of video games.
There you go. So
Interesting.
now we're going to switch gears entirely. Taylor Swift. So you studied Taylor Swift, and you had said that she's one of the best songwriters, and you even emulated some of her mannerisms to prepare for your own performance, which is, you and Taylor Swift, unlikely duo. So what is it that you love and are so inspired by when it comes to Taylor Swift?
Well, here's what happened. On my During my performance on the stage, it's February 17th, 2023. 1 month later to the day on March 17th, 2023, that's when the Eras Tour started. So my
Mhm.
impression of Taylor Swift was even before the Eras Tour turned into such a huge phenomenon. So right before I performed on February 17th, I had just barely discovered Taylor Swift. I mean, I knew of her existence, but I didn't know a thing about her. What I was doing as a songwriter, I wanted to see what else was out there, what people were
Mhm.
writing, their lyrics and stuff like that. And I discovered some of her songs, and I suddenly realized, wow, this is really good stuff. So I looked further and saw more songs and heard more music, and I began to realize that, wow, she's as good as anybody is. This is one of the best songwriters in the world. And so I was so impressed with her stuff that when I got on the stage in the movie, I say, and I gush in amazement. I said, "Are you aware how good she is?" Because from that perspective, I'm kind of innocent, and uh,
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
and everybody laughs, of course, because they're so used to 14-year-old girls gushing over Taylor Swift, and suddenly here's the 73-year-old man gushing over Taylor. So they all laugh because they were amused by that. But uh,
Right.
I was just innocently impressed with, wow, this is an amazing artist. And
Wow.
our, our,
Cool.
our projection and belief is that Taylor Swift we're trying to get her to see the movie. We think that she's going to like the movie, and my goal is to somehow get involved in such a way that maybe her producers will help me with some of my further songs I want to do.
From your lips to God's ears or whoever's listening, you know? Yeah, I was thinking that as soon as you started talking. I was like, why don't we just get Taylor Swift in the mix and you guys do a duo? You know, I'd rather see her team up with you than Beyonce, but that's just me. I'm just speaking for I'll just speak for myself. All right, we're gonna switch gears again. So now you've been a support system, like a one-man support system to many other people's dreams, and you enabled them to have the spotlight in so many areas of life. Well, you kind of remained hidden, according to the documentary. And you said, possibly it's from all those years of being devoted to others' needs and success and happiness that this thing has come back to bless me, meaning the music. So, do you believe in karma?
Absolutely. Everything you do comes back to you. What you put out to the world, you get back to you. Karma completely does exist. As you sow, so shall you reap.
Yeah,
So, so that's why I'm so bemused by the amount of negativity people direct at each other on the internet. And they don't realize that everything they're doing to everybody else is going to find them. It's going to come back to their door.
yeah.
So, so anyway, karma
I
does exist.
believe it. I believe it. I've knowingly, consciously done not too many bad things in my life, but there was one time I did something consciously bad, and three tires on my car popped in 1 month. And it just felt like,
I've,
whoa, immediate
I've
karma.
had that. I've had that too. If I did something wrong, I would have a tire go or the car would break down.
Really?
It would, whatever I put out, I get back in equal measure.
Same, same, same. And then for better or for worse, I'll do a good deed, and 30 seconds later, or maybe even an hour or two later, I'll get back amazing things. So I'm like, maybe I should take that phone call from that annoying guy. Because every
Right.
time I talk to this guy for charity, I get some opportunity after doing this charity phone call work. So, all
No,
right,
you're very sensitive and very alert because that's how it works. You do a good deed and you can get it back almost immediately. You do a bad deed
immediate.
immediately.
Yeah. So switch gears again. Now, if you hadn't gotten dumped and instead you got married and had kids, you might not have written over 100 songs that spawned due to the breakup. So now, number one, do you believe in fate? And number two, if given the choice, would you go back and prevent that breakup?
Oh no, no, I think that everything worked out. First of all, Shane had many lovely kids, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't be so bold as to say I would have given her kids as lovely as that because they were superstars. She had superstar children, so it all worked out for her. And
Nice.
so there never would have been the King of Kong. There never would have been arcades and love stories. There never would have tons and tons of esports history wouldn't have happened. And it's just perfect the way it turned out.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, probably painful to go through, but now in hindsight, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's fate. I believe in fate. I believe
Me
in
too.
destiny. I believe some things are written.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of predictions from many people over the nation, and so many things have come true this year that they said about this year. It's like, what?
Mhm.
Wow. So now, underestimating yourself, the next topic. It seems like you probably underestimated your capabilities in your younger years. So, in what ways has your self-efficacy and confidence changed since producing the songs that you held in your head for years and finally performing them?
Well, Well, I've told you that I meditate. Meditate changes the way your brain and your energy works and your emotions and stuff like that. So a lot of built-in self-confidence has grown from practicing transcendental meditation. That's why I recommend it to everybody. Not only does it heal the depths of your nervous system and clean your brain of stress, but also it actualizes your personality and gives you more self-confidence. It's like an all-purpose healing tool to do transcendental meditation. Um, but also, as I get older, you just learn the world and you get better at it.
Hopefully, hopefully, one would hope for most people. Some people don't. I'm watching a lot of people toxify themselves with alcohol and sugar and bad food. And I've seen people in the last 2 years go downhill. It's very sad, but we hope that we get better as we age.
Well, I think it's pretty well
So
established.
anyway,
Medical cir in medical circles, it's completely established that alcohol deranges the brain and hurts the nervous system. And sugar is can be so poisonous. Some people can handle it, but really most people don't.
I cannot. It ruins one glass of wine will ruin me for a month. So
Ah,
back to you. Oh, now, what would you tell your younger self?
um, I tell my younger self to relax, that everything's going to turn out okay.
Yeah, yeah. And a similar question. So now that you're over the age of 74, you're 75,
75.
I think. 75. Okay. I see. I pay attention. Now you've accomplished a variety of things that many people will never do, and they won't even know that they exist. I didn't even know about Donkey Kong, live tournaments. I had no idea. Now, what things would you have done in your younger years if you had your current level of confidence, self-efficacy, abilities, and wisdom?
Oh, I actually have a good answer for that. I would have done two things. I would have started the music earlier. If I had all my wisdom of today, like back when I was 22, uh, I would have uh, I would have started my music earlier, and also I would have written science fiction novels.
Still can.
Mm,
You still can.
it's a lot of work, and I have to be very efficient with how I spend whatever remaining days and energy and health and energy level I have left.
Maybe a sci-fi short story, like a page or two, and you can produce the whole thing because one page
That's
you can
not a
do low
bad
budget.
that's not a bad idea, but I've been focusing on the music, and which seems to
Okay.
be the best priority right now.
Well, if we can clone you, then you can do both. And
Yeah.
the last question, what things do you currently want to achieve other than that?
Well, I want to make the best thing out of this movie and make it a not only a win for my own life, but a win for other people who at this point in their life need a good inspiration and
Yeah,
something to drive them forward in a positive direction. Because, like I've told you, the motto of this story is that uh, it's never too late.
right, right. Is it ever too late? And last question of the day, final thought. What are your final thoughts? And please tell listeners, viewers, where to find you, the website, anything you want to share, where to find you.
Okay, I have a website called the Walter Day Collection, and you can see all the
Right?
trading cards I produced, the Walter Day Collection. But also, there's an arcades and lovesongs.com website where they can learn more about the music and and the movie, and they can actually order the music. Arcades and lovesongs.com.
Right, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And now for more It Came from the Radio with Mark Torres.
Thank you.
Done, guys.